Hello there. In this video I will show you how I made this helmet from the dark side user or Sith from the upcoming Disney Plus show The Acolyte. This video will show a different process from how I usually finish my helmets. I recently moved into a small apartment and have limited space to work with. Usually prop making includes a lot of sanding and therefore a lot of dust, which is not ideal in a one-bedroom apartment. So I tried a different approach that includes very little sanding, but more on that later. So let's get started. I printed most of the parts on my Creality K1C. This printer is crazy fast and delivers great results if you slice it right, which I still have to get used to as I just got this printer a week ago. After everything was printed, I used a little rotary tool to smooth the areas where the supports didn't come off as clean. Next, I put on a first coat of what I will be using instead of bondo or filler, for the fumes that these products create are not ideal for my work environment. So what will I be using instead? I mixed together some black acrylic paint, water and baby powder, or alternatively flour. This will create a thick paste which is applied to the helmet with a big brush in a tapping pattern. Here it is important that the texture is still flowy and doesn't clump up. Once it is dried, it will give an irregular, rough finish, which for this helmet is ideal. This would not work on a smooth and shiny helmet. Once all the parts are dried, I weld them together with my 3D pen. Many people use an old soldering iron for this, which would probably work better, but I don't have one. Looking back, I should have welded the parts together before putting on the first layer of paint, because the paint slowed down the process a lot. I also traced down the cracks and scratches on the helmet to make them more prominent. After that, a second thick layer of paint mixture to further cover the layer lines. I keep layering the paint until I'm happy with the look and let it dry overnight. At the top of the helmets there are still some very visible layer lines. To remove these layer lines, I again use my rotary tool. This does create some dust, but much less than using sandpaper. I roughly go over the areas where I welded the parts together and over the worst parts of the helmet, which are on top. Before putting on the final layer of paint, I again use my rotary tool to bring back all the scratches and cracks that got lost in the paint job. I take my time with this step and move very slowly and carefully so the scratches are nice and thin. Once I'm done sanding, I apply more paint mixture. I added more black paint this time and it's already looking pretty sick. I repeat this process until I'm happy with the look of it. All the scratches and cracks on the helmet still need to be painted. So I use some silver acrylic paint and thin it down with some water and carefully paint the scratches and cracks with a fine brush. I also paint the lines that go down the front. I mix a little bit of white with some red and some water and use the same fine brush to paint the lines. The next step is to mask off the helmet so only the teeth are visible, to spray paint them silver. At first I wanted to paint the teeth by hand with silver acrylic paint, but that did not look good at all. So I went out and got some spray paint. With a thick layer, I paint the teeth silver, making sure not to spray on too much paint in one spot so it doesn't puddle or run. I let that dry overnight. The last thing to do is put on some clear matte finish. And once that is dried, put the jaw back in the helmet, and that's it. The helmet of this new mysterious dark side user. Looking back, I have to say that this method is useful to finish a helmet rough and quick, but the usual approach with sandpaper and filler primer makes for a better and cleaner result. Also, if you want to try this method, make sure you give your helmet a rough sand before putting on the first layer of paint, to make sure the paint will stick better to the helmet. Also, if you remove tape from the helmet, make it slowly and carefully. Overall, I'm surprised this worked so well. All this was an experiment for me and I'm happy with the results. I hope you could learn something from this video and had a good time watching it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Will you give this helmet a try? Let me know in the comments below. Now, have a great day and I hope to see you next time.